have now entered into Tony Tone's world. The Tony Tone's world.
What up, y'all? It's me, Tony. Welcome back to Tony Tone's World. A little bit of a different intro. I'm introing the video that you're about to play or see. It was during COVID in 2020 with my buddy Goose. We had a good conversation. We had a conversation about galaxies and UFOs and Elon Musk and just the uh, outer space, if you will, in general. It was a great episode. It was I learned a lot from it. It was an episode that I got a great feedback from individuals that seen it or listened to it at the time. Unfortunately, my dumbass at the time in 2020 when I started this, I was using copywritten music. So I have about, I don't know, maybe 35 or so episodes that did not last too long on the internet because of the music that I was using as my intro. Shout out to Tuesday for helping me with that. So I am uploading this because Goose and I are scheduling a time to have another follow-up podcast, and I would like to have this as like a reference point, if you will. I think it's a great episode. I think it's Goose is very smart in general. He has multiple degrees, and he'll kind of explain that in the episode himself. And so it just kind of goes in along the lines of the UFOs and space and things like that, especially with like the UFOs or UAPs now that's what they call them in New Jersey that are popping up, or even the ones that, apparently are in the sky everywhere for whatever reason. People think it was because of uranium, some sort of leaked materials, stolen materials that they were looking for, the government was looking for. Some people believe they came out of the water. There's so many different avenues, so many different conspiracies and thoughts behind of why there are so many UAPs being seen across the world, if you will. And so, I just kind of wanted to, again, reference this podcast for our future podcast, which I'm very excited to talk about with him. I know the last couple of weeks we stopped our super contest podcast episodes. We will have a final, a wrap up, if you will, of our super contest because the NFL season is over, and kind of explain how we did and what we did and what we could do better for next year and things like that. Personally, as like a podcast, one man show here, one man company, if you will. I do all the editing, and it does take time. So I think going forward for the NFL season specifically, I learned that I need to kind of upload these podcasts at an earlier day in the week versus waiting till Thursday or Friday. So scheduling that time between Cruz and I, or whomever it is that I do the super contest with in the future. Not saying Cruz can't do it, but I'm just saying if for whatever reason, whoever I do it with, just need to know like the production side of things and the timeline of how to get things out in the right day. Because if I upload a podcast on a Thursday, it's almost irrelevant at that point in time because Thursday night football. So it was a great learning experience, a great time. I enjoyed our weekly conversations. I love the shit talking back and forth. That's always a great time, especially because the Cowboys suck. And I think over the weekend or over the last couple of weeks, the holidays were among us. So hopefully everybody had a great holiday. I was able to fortunately meet one of the individuals that, I reference on here a lot, that you guys met a little bit. I still need to do a podcast with him, but Twos, he came down from Canada for first time to ever meet me and some of the buddies that we play with online for years now. So having to meet somebody like that, it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool experience. It's got a little nerve-wracking somewhat, I am married, so I wasn't nervous to meet a guy, but it is always somewhat nervous if they're going to be the same person and, as they are online. So it's somewhat funny. My wife was giving me shit about it. It was somewhat funny. And so, yeah, we were able to meet him. The last episode that we put out, we did a bottle share podcast. If you haven't seen that, check that out. And that's about it. I think I'm going to get off because I want to stop saying so much. But here's the episode. Like, subscribe, share. Again, I appreciate everybody listening, everybody viewing. Any feedback, please message me, put it in the comments, whatever you want to do. Shit talk, do whatever you want to do. I don't care. But here's the episode, and we'll talk soon. Peace. Today I have a special guest, my buddy Goose. Real name's Andy. Probably known him for about I don't know, 6-7 years now or so.
Way too long.
Yeah, pretty long here.
Mhm.
I've known him for a while. He's a guy I've been wanting to talk to for a little bit. He has not one, not two, but three degrees: astrophysics. What do you got? Aerodynamic, gymnastics. What else do you have? Mathematician.
Aerospace engineering and mathematical sciences. Yeah. Close though. Close.
Yeah. So everybody say hi to Goose. I appreciate you coming on, buddy.
Mm-hmm. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. So the very first thing I want to ask you,
yes,
is because you are astrophysics, or you have a major in that.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of a troll question, but do you believe the world is flat?
Do I believe the world is flat? I'm a little bit upset that you asked me that question. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do to just go and experience it yourself. So it's easy to figure out. You just put logic to it. That's it.
Why do you think there's so many flat earthers out there, though?
One, I think people are kind of obsessed with the idea that someone is hiding something from them. Yeah. And people will reach out, and basically anything that sounds like it might be true, people just immediately believe it. And one of the issues I think is that people are not always taught how to think properly. Right. Or apply logic to situations. And so they'll go out and they'll actually just believe the first thing they hear, and you cannot tell them differently. People like to believe a lie because they fear it's true, or because they want to believe it's true, and people love to believe conspiracies. Yeah. What made you get into astrophysics? I mean, that's such a intense major to go into. Ever since I was little, I've always been obsessed with space. I still am. I watch space videos all the time. Yeah. I mean, for everybody know, well, not everybody, but to give some background on this, Goose lives in Florida. So from my perspective, I've never seen a space shuttle launch or a rocket launch, or I've never seen really cool. Like that. Actually, that you bring that up, SpaceX is about to do their test for the Starship. It's going to go up 15 kilometers. And that's going to be really cool. I'm going to try to watch that live. I'm not sure what it's supposed to happen, possibly sometime this week. Oh, really? Today's the 11th, so sometime this week, possibly. But it might not. Elon doesn't think it's going to be successful, which means even if it's not, it's still going to be spectacular to watch if something, blows up. Yeah. Hopefully it doesn't, though. It'd be nice. It'd be amazing if it didn't, but we'll see. I read somewhere that Elon, well, not read, but kind of just, I guess, I did read. Elon kind of revolutionized the whole space shuttle thing because of how his shuttles can go up and not only come back down like NASA, but he can actually control where they're landing. Right. So reuse them again. One of the biggest things, and Elon's really good about doing this, is people have a hard time believing something can be done, and Elon doesn't see it that way. So he'll come up. So basically one day what he did was he was having a conversation with someone about rockets. And this is when I guess they were first starting SpaceX or something. And he said, what I want to do is I want a rocket to come up, and I'm just going to bring it right back down and land it. Simple as that. Then I can reuse it, and it's going to save a whole lot of money. And people were like, no, you can't do that. And he's like, well, why? Yes, I can. Watch. And then he went and did it. Some people get obsessed with the idea that you can't do something because other people tell you can't. You should always try to do things. Because a lot of times you will succeed if you try. I wonder if the people that don't want him to do that is either A, because it's money, like a money grab or something to deal with money, and B, or if it's like the government basically telling him no. I mean, I don't know. I don't think our government likes NASA. I mean, they keep giving them money. No? No, I don't. I mean, I don't know. A lot of people complain because they say that too much money goes to NASA, but like in terms of all the money that the government gets in taxes and things, it's such a very small percentage that actually goes to NASA. It sounds like a big number, but in terms of the other things that our government spends money on, NASA is definitely like one of the lowest things.
It's like it's like high school sports. Like all the money goes to football, no money goes to badminton.
No.
Who the hell plays badminton? But it's fun. What are your thoughts on Elon? I love Elon. I think he's.
I mean, I think Elon's going to go down like in 100 years. He's going to be the guy from our time that everything is written about. I think that he is actually a living legend. I really do. I'm a huge believer in what he does.
Yeah. So I believe the same thing. I think his outside of space and what he's doing with SpaceX and stuff, I think his tunnel in California that he's making, his Hyperloop, which is pretty cool.
That was another.
His trucks.
That was another thing that he did was he was like, yeah, I want to go dig this big hole. I want to go dig this big hole. And they're like, no, you can't do that. And they're like, well, yeah, I can. I got all these permits. Here you go. Now I'm just going to go do it. And he did it.
Yeah. It's I don't know if you watch Joe Rogan or anything, and people that
I've seen a couple, but I don't watch it religiously.
Yeah. If you were to watch any episode, there's a couple with him and Lex Friedman. You know who Lex Friedman is?
I'm bad with names.
He's an MIT like a what was it? Theoretical physicist or something like that.
If I saw a picture of him, I might recognize him.
He deals with AI and stuff like that. And he was on his podcast and then also on Joe Rogan. But my point is, if you want to learn more about Elon, those are pretty good podcasts.
Yeah, I have seen the one with Elon with Joe Rogan, or at least one of them. I don't know if he's been there multiple times. So that was a good one though.
Yeah,
I did like that one. You kind of like learn a little bit what's going on in his mind. So it's definitely a good watch.
What so as far as like space, or I don't expect you to know all the answers, and for damn well I don't. I'm an idiot. But here's a dumb question: how big is space? Like, is there an actual like how big is it? How far is it?
Okay, so there's kind of like a I guess there's different ways you can say it and different ways you can measure it. Most of the time, though, people are going to measure it in light years. How many light years you can see in any direction, right? And then all we can see is the observable universe. So if something is too far away, okay, so for instance, the universe is 13.7 billion years old, 13 or somewhere around there.
Jesus Christ.
And it's old. But that means that light only had that much time to travel. So if something is beyond how far that is, how far you can see, you can't see it. So there's an observable universe and then an actual universe. We believe the actual universe is much bigger than the observable. But the observable universe, there's like a trick to how far you can see. You would think you could only see half the age, right? So if it's 13.7 billion years old, or however old it is, then you would think you could only see half of that in either direction, or at most that full distance in either direction. But you can actually see something like 48 billion light years in any direction.
Question.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
What is a light year? How big is a light year?
Okay. How far is it? Good question. So a light year is how far light can travel in a year.
Okay.
And to give you a good idea about how far that is, let's say there's like a beam of light on Earth, right? How far around the planet you think can it go around the equator in 1 second?
I'd probably reach here to Mexico, maybe. Or no, well, that's vertical and oh, that's hilarious. Here to Africa.
It can go around our planet 7.4 times in 1 second.
Holy shit.
Yeah,
Damn,
that's
moves.
Crazy. It moves. Yeah, it seriously moves. So yeah, a light year is how far it goes in 1 year.
Wow.
It's far. Yeah.
Damn.
Yep. And we're talking billions of light years.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
How far? So okay, go keep explaining. Sorry.
I was going to say, so the diameter of the observable universe is about 96 billion light years. And the reason why we can actually appear to see further than what the age of the universe is because of the expansion of our universe, right? So think about every like infinitely small point of the universe. At every instance, it's expanding at that point. The dark energy is what does this. No, we don't know what dark energy is. But we do know that it is making our universe expand faster than the speed of light. And that also means that there is a huge percentage, I don't know the exact number, maybe like 90% of the universe that we can see that we will never be able to reach. because since that expansion is happening, if it's too far away, even if we go at the speed of light to try to get there, it will be moving away from us faster than the speed of light. So we cannot get there.
So we can't.
Eventually, it's going to disappear and we won't be able to see it anymore.
Gotcha.
Yeah. One day in the future, when you look up in the night sky, all you're going to see are the stars. You won't be able to see another galaxy. Because it'll be too far away to see. Yep.
That's nuts.
Yeah. So we're living in a good time.
So you bring up dark matter. So theoretically dark matter?
That was dark energy. So there's
dark
two
energy.
things.
Sorry. So
there's dark energy and dark matter. Yeah.
Okay. So is it called dark just because that was a name, or is there a reason behind the dark, or could it be X energy and X matter?
It could be X energy and X matter. Dark just means unknown.
Gotcha.
The word dark is representative of unknown, and they don't know what it is. And then energy is they know that it has to be some energy because it is a force that's expanding it outwards.
Yeah.
And for matter, dark matter, they think that it's most likely matter, but they don't actually know if it's matter or not. So that's actually deceptive. Dark matter might not be matter at all. It could be something else. Yeah.
Gotcha. Huh. Wow, that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So as we're traveling through space, let's go to the big thing right now that I hear for space is trying to, colonize some sort of other planet other than the Earth, because apparently humans need to leave the Earth because aliens are going to touch us or something's going to happen where we need to colonize another.
Well, there's a lot of ways we can die staying here. Think about being on a little island, right?
Yeah.
And you look out at the ocean and you see like land everywhere, but you're stuck on that island. Now, one day a storm is going to come and that island's going to flood. Right. You don't know when it's going to happen, but you know that it's going to happen because you've seen it happen in the past, like the asteroids, and all that kind of stuff. You've seen it happen in the past. The best chance for you and your people to survive is to start spreading out among those islands. So that's what we want to do.
So the planets, in other words.
Yeah, other planets, yeah.
Gotcha. Do you think in our lifetime we'll see that?
I think we're going to see people on Mars in our lifetime. Yeah, I think that's going to probably happen. Yep. Now, I think there will be people there. I don't know how big the colony will be. I know that Elon has like a time frame of what he wants, and he wants to see a colony of 1,000+ people living on Mars in, I don't know, something like 20 or 30 years or something like that.
So they found water molecules or water evidence of water there in Mars. Yeah.
Yep.
So have they found any sort of like living organisms under the soil or anything?
No, not yet. But based on everything that we know about water, where there's water, there's life. Now, we don't know if that's going to be the case on Mars, but from every place that we've actually physically seen water, which is one place, and that's Earth, there is just life everywhere. Like you cannot find a place that does not have life if there's water. So that's
what is it? Why did we choose Mars? Why is it Mars the next planet? Is it just
there's actually
of how close it is?
Not really. No. Well, there's kind of a couple different reasons, but there's actually been a lot of controversy about that, and that people are thinking that maybe Mars is not the best place to go. Maybe Venus is actually better, but not Venus on the surface. Venus in the clouds. So what they want to do is they want to possibly figure out a way to almost create like a cloud city almost. Where you can set something up kind of around Venus. And they think that there might be life in the clouds of Venus because there's a bunch of different chemical reactions that are happening in there that they actually don't know how they would happen unless there was some type of, I don't know, some type of, I forget what it's called, but something that's required for life to exist.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. So they want to look there. They think it might be better actually now to go to Venus, maybe not to live because I don't know what the complications would be to actually have a city in the clouds.
Right.
But so I know there's been a lot of talks about that recently, probably in the last like couple of years at least. But yeah, Mars, beyond that, everything past that, there's gas giants. You can't live on a gas giant. The magnetic field alone would just rip apart anything that you would have from the planet. Plus it's all gas, until you go really far down and you're talking about like 300 atmospheres of pressure, which would just completely crush you. So you can't live over there. Maybe on one of the moons, but there's still too much unknown about that. So
how fast would you sign up to go
to Mars,
to any planet, to the moon,
I'd
space, anything?
I'd sign it right now.
Really?
Yep. Put the piece of paper in front of me. I'll sign it and go.
How long does it take to get to Mars or the moon?
So, well, for the moon,
like on a one-way first class.
I'm actually not sure about the moon. I know a little bit more about. I know a little bit more about how long it takes to get to Mars. The moon, I would imagine. I don't know.
Here, I got an answer for you.
Okay, yeah. Well,
give me the answer. Guess.
I would say 8 to 12 days.
3 days.
3 days. Okay.
It takes a spacecraft to reach the moon in 3 days.
Okay.
It's about 240,000 miles.
Gotcha. That's good.
Wow.
Yeah. So from Mars right now, I do know that they think we can get there. They're fairly certain we can get there between 6 to 8 months. But you can't just get in a rocket and go to Mars, right? Mars has to be in a specific place in its orbit when we lift off, and we have to be basically shooting to get to Mars before Mars gets to where it's at, right? So, because Mars is constantly moving. So if you go to where it was or where it is right now, then it's not going to be there when you get there. Right. So you have to basically arc around our planet, kind of slingshot off of it, and then go up all the way to Mars and then go around Mars, which means that by the time let's say this is Earth, right?
Yeah.
And Mars is right here. When you leave, you're going to go up here to meet Mars, like way up above it, right?
Yeah.
And when Mars goes around, you're going to meet it there. But you can only do that once every 2 years.
Holy shit.
Yep. So if you're going to Mars, it might take you 6 months to get there, 6 months to get back, but you're going to go there. Then you have to wait until the next orbit, 2 years, and then you can come back. So
that's an investment.
Yes, it is an investment. Yeah.
That's an investment in time.
Yep.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Personally, I think going to the moon for 3 days, I hate going to let me rephrase this. I love going to California, but I hate the flight. It takes 4 hours.
Yeah.
So imagine me on a 3-day flight.
Oh,
no Wi-Fi, no booze, no nothing.
Oh, it's worse than that. You think those seats in an airplane are bad?
Yeah.
Seats in a rocket, man? No, you're not moving. You're not getting up.
Have you ever traveled over to like NASA or anything like SpaceX? Do they have a facility, SpaceX in Florida? I don't know.
Yeah. So, well, what you can do is you can go to the Space Kennedy Center or the Kennedy Space Center, and you can go take tours, and you can actually pay money and get really close to the rocket launches, as close as you can get in the public.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think it's only like $50 or something. It's not crazy expensive if you really want to see it. But I mean, you can still get amazing views. You can just go to the beach and you can just watch this thing shoot off, and it's so cool.
Does it happen daily, or is it like just like a?
No, I mean, sometimes you might see a couple go off relatively quickly. There's schedules you can find on. It's not just SpaceX either. Other places use it because it's built by NASA, and they let people come there and launch their rockets and stuff. But so I live in Orlando. I can look outside and still see a rocket launch.
Dude,
living in Orlando,
honestly,
and I'm like,
for me, if I see a rocket launch, I'm automatically think we're going to war with Russia, North Korea. Like I'd probably shit my pants right away.
I have seen people like people that came down from when I went to FIT, which is on Melbourne, which is really, really close to NASA. People that had just gotten down there the first time they saw a launch, they had no idea what was going on. They're like, "What in the hell is that?" I'm like, "It's just a rocket." They're like, "What do you mean it's just a rocket?"
That's crazy. I'd love to see one of those. Is it loud? Yeah. Is it like too overbearing for your ears and stuff, or no? I would imagine if you're as close as you can, it's probably pretty loud. They're not going to let you get close enough where it's going to cause any damage to your ears, though. Okay. Because they're safety, all that kind of stuff. So they know the distance. There's a decibel drop off when you're a certain distance away from it. So. Gotcha. That's cool. Yeah. So as far as like you mentioned asteroids earlier, kind of a two-parter question. Mm-hmm. Do you believe in the Big Bang Theory as far as the asteroid and then my second part to that is as people, do we take for granted that asteroids are not hitting the Earth, or are they, and we just don't know, and we're maybe just don't see them because they're falling in the ocean, or maybe the government's destroying them with other rockets, like in the video games or some shit? So, I'll come back to the Big Bang thing. But the asteroids, there are asteroids that are entering Earth all the time. Most of the time, they're extremely small, and by small, I'm talking like like this big. Really, really small, and they burn up in the atmosphere. Gotcha. Now, depending on the size you want to talk about, they have rough estimates about how often it actually falls to Earth. So, for instance, in Russia, there was something, I'm going to butcher the name, like the tungsten event. There's a city in Russia, and what happened was there was an asteroid that came down, and it was just big enough to almost make it all the way to the surface, but right before it hit the surface, it exploded.
And that just caused massive devastation. And that something like that's supposed to happen about once every 100 years. And that still is not massive. I think maybe that was only 3 feet across, or 3 meters across, or something. I could be wrong on that. You could look that up. I can't remember exactly how big that was, but yeah, I mean, they happen all the time. It's the big ones. It's the big ones that are worrisome, but they don't happen nearly as often, especially now since our solar system's been around for about 5 billion years.
Is there anything that we could do to, if an asteroid were to hit or come towards?
If we catch it early enough, yes. So, and by early enough, I mean, if we see it in an orbit and we see way down the road, that orbit is going to hit Earth, because you can calculate, because you know what the forces are going to be acting on it. You know where the planet's going to be because you can calculate its orbit. And if you see that they're going to collide, what you can do if you catch it early enough is you can send something out to the asteroid and just give it a little nudge. Just a little nudge, slightly change its trajectory, and over the course of like 40 years, it's going to massively change where it's going to be, and then it'll miss Earth. You can even nudge it slightly and set it on a collision course with our sun, for instance.
You said 40 years?
It'll take a while, yeah. We're not talking. You got to know in advance.
Gotcha. That's far in advance.
Yes.
And we have people that watch out for that every day?
Yep.
Every second?
There are people constantly looking, yep.
Wow, that's crazy.
A lot of them. I mean, luckily it's easier to spot the bigger ones.
Yeah.
Right, because they're bigger. So
right. This tungsten thing, it says the explosion is generally attributed to airburst of the stony meteoroid about 330 feet in size. It was classified as an impact event.
A lot bigger than I thought it was. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So sorry, I butchered that reading because I have a grade 5 reading level. Just playing. That's funny. I'm just messing. But no, I don't know. Like, I just think of like an asteroid coming to the Earth. Mm-hmm. I didn't realize that they were planning so far in advance, like way above Earth's atmosphere already for that.
Oh yeah, we know.
I didn't realize we could read space, or I didn't realize we could even read that far out ahead.
Oh yeah, we know tens, if not hundreds of thousands. I think tens of thousands is more in the ballpark. Tens of thousands of asteroids that we're tracking right now.
Holy shit.
Yeah, most of them pose no threat whatsoever.
Yeah.
But there are some that can come close. Like, for instance, Apophis. Have you heard of Apophis?
No.
So Apophis is something that's going to be coming by in the year 2029. And when I say coming by, it will be 2029. Yeah. It's going to get so close to Earth that it's going to be about 10 times closer to Earth than our moon is. So there will be geosynchronous satellites that will be further out than where Apophis is going to be when it comes by. You'll be able to see it if you just look up in the sky at night. You'll see it come by.
So A, why haven't they destroyed it yet? And then B, do all asteroids get a name?
Not all of them, just the ones that are of extreme interest, like this one. If this were to hit Earth, it would cause a huge amount of destruction. And it's only 300 meters across. 330 meters across. So it's pretty big, but it's still relatively small compared to what could be out there. But what has definitely gotten attention is that they know it's not going to hit in 2029, but there is a small window in space where if it goes by this window, the Earth's gravitational pull will slightly nudge its trajectory and set it on a collision course with our planet in the year, I think, 2036.
Holy shit.
But they think it's extremely unlikely to happen.
So let's say we weren't able to hit it with the rocket or anything like that. Our atmosphere would automatically, or not automatically, but in the theoretical sense, it would automatically start
slowing it down,
and then damaging and put in smaller pieces, basically. So it'd be almost like it could be like a big ass hailstorm of asteroid particles.
It could, if it was weak. It would depend on what it's made up of. But most likely, if that hit, it's not going to break up, and it's going to. I believe they think that if it did hit, it would hit. They've already like predicted where it would hit if it's going to hit Earth, and I think it was in the Pacific Ocean.
Gotcha.
But yeah, that's another thing. So there are times when asteroids come in, but since 70-80% of the surface of our planet's water, we don't see it most of the time. Or there's places that we're just never going to see it happen when smaller asteroids do come in.
So if they come in, if they hit the ocean or they're smaller, do I don't know who tracks that. Whatever agency tracks that, do they care? Do they just let it hit?
Nothing they can do.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where they see it's going to hit, and they're like, well, at least it's not going to kill us all, and then they move on to the next one, you know.
Yeah.
So it's most of them again are extremely small, nothing to worry about. I mean, like the odds of any of those small ones actually killing anyone is extremely small.
Yeah.
Maybe once every 100 years, like that event that happened in Russia, that could kill people if you're unlucky enough to be in that area. But
hopefully I'm not in Russia.
Yeah.
What do you think about the Big Bang Theory?
So I like it. I think there's more to it that we probably don't understand.
Yeah.
I do think that it's kind of an amazing concept that we can actually come up with something like this, right? Because the Big Bang, think of like a giant ball, right? And the outside surface or balloon. Balloons used, I think, a lot of time when people are explaining this. Think of the balloon. The outside surfaces are three-dimensional existence, right? Our three-dimensional, universe. Mm-hmm. And everything above the balloon is time that hasn't happened yet. So that's the future. Everything inside the balloon is the past, which means if you were to shrink that balloon down to an infinitely small point, that is the moment at which the Big Bang occurred. So it's kind of cool to think about the Big Bang. Plus, there's like some interesting things about it, right? People ask, well, where's the center of the universe? Well, there is no center because the universe itself is just itself. Like there's not a center, right? There's nothing outside. If there's nothing outside, there's no way to measure where a center is. I'm not really doing a good job explaining that, but you can't really define a center for something like this. The center of it is the Big Bang. That's basically the center back in time. You can't just think in 3 dimensions when you're talking about our universe.
Gotcha. There's so many unknowns and, just space in general, just saying space is just such a general term. It's crazy to even just say space sometimes because there's so many like stars and everything. I don't know, just everything to it. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
What was the other thing I wanted to tell you about? Oh, I had one other actual trolley question for you. Last trolley question for you. Do you think the moon landing was fake?
No, I don't. I know that people there's a lot of controversy around this. And I think that at the end of the day, most people alive today that are against, well, maybe not everyone that's against it, but a lot of people that are alive today weren't alive back then. Yeah. And you're talking about an age where video cameras were really shitty.
Right.
It's not like today. And I know some of the arguments are there, look at the smudges on there, that looks like a ladder or something like that, or whatever people are saying. But they're making a claim and they don't have proof. If you make a claim about something, it is on the person that's making the claim to provide the proof of what they're stating. It is not on the person that they are making the claim to that has to disprove their statement.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's just like our court systems, right? You're innocent until you're proven guilty. You don't have to prove your innocence. They have to prove your guilt because they're making that claim.
Right.
So it's the same. Sense. It's the same type of thing. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I haven't seen anything to actually discredit it. So
for the record, I believe that the original video, and you know me, you know me, I believe the video is fake. I believe there's something to it. However, I do believe we did go to the moon somewhere around that time frame.
Okay.
But I just don't believe that was, I think they might have doctored it up a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of arguments, right? There's that argument about, well, we did it because we wanted the Russians to bankrupt themselves and, all that kind of stuff just to prove that we could do it. But at the end of the day, like me and you, we weren't alive back then.
No.
So we weren't there. We're just either way going to have to take someone's word on it. So for me personally, I'm going to take the word of the experts instead of some guy, living in his basement coming up with conspiracy theories about all these things and trying to figure out ways to disprove it. So,
you mean me?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Glad you picked up on that.
Fuck, you asshole. That's hilarious. That's funny. What are your overall thoughts between like as far as NASA and SpaceX? Like, do you? For me personally, I think I like because I like Elon. I'm more of a team SpaceX, even though I do like NASA. But I feel like sometimes they're too. Like I don't know. Elon, maybe it's because he's also a private company, but he's taking more risk in the X amount of time, shorter amount of time than NASA has.
Yeah.
Whereas then I can also see that's why NASA hasn't gotten so much money. And I'm also talking out of my ass, so stop me when I'm wrong. But I mean, that's how I feel, I guess.
Well, a lot of it is you got to remember that NASA is owned by our government. If they make a mistake, they lose funding.
Yeah.
Because of that, now I know Elon would also lose some funding, but he can make that back up, right? He's got so many other routes to get money, and a lot of people really believe in him. He's really built something really good there. But NASA, if they really screw something up, then they have to answer to the government, and the government can just say, well, we're not going to give you any money anymore. So good luck. So they have to spend a lot more time making sure that things are right, which is really unfortunate because if you're taking, if you're doing something like this, if your goal is to get to Mars, you've got to take risks, and you've got to keep pushing. Every day you have to be taking another step forward because the day that you take one step back or you stop stepping forward is the day that you're going to fail. You've always got to be pushing forward and you've always got to take those risks. Right. Very important to be successful in something like this.
Yeah. So what exactly interested you in, I mean, obviously you have 2 other degrees and like I said, we've talked for years now and I know that you're a space monkey, a space junkie. So what got you to this point of what interested you the most about this when I'm assuming you were a younger kid, you ventured down this road, you spent all this money, all this time. What got you to this point?
Yeah, just looking up at the sky when I was a little kid.
Yeah.
And I was always curious about it. I've always wanted to learn more about it, and I enjoy learning about it. It's really interesting to me because there really are some amazing things that you can learn. Even just small things, I'm interested about all that kind of stuff, not just space too, theoretical physics, that kind of thing. I'm all into that kind of stuff.
Like AI and shit? Or I don't think that's theoretical physics. That's
No, yeah, it's not really theoretical physics. AI is really interesting.
Just butchered that.
Good segue.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not into. I'm into all of this shit, but I'm not doing the homework for it.
Gotcha. Yeah,
I'll sit here and just listen.
I can tell you one thing though, and this is kind of a theoretical physics in a way. Have you ever heard of the simulation theory?
Yes, that we're all in a simulation.
Yes.
And
so the argument is that you can think about right now how we could possibly at some point in the future create a program to simulate our own lives, right? And you can run the simulation to make the inhabitants in the simulation not realize they're in a simulation. And you can run this, and over just, I don't know, maybe an hour, you can make them feel like they're feeling millions or billions of years. And you can run this 1,000,000 times at once. So you have one civilization, us, running millions of simulations for other civilizations that don't know they're in a simulation. So that means you have a 1 in 1,000,000 or 1 in 1,000,000,000 chance of being the one that's not in the simulation. So the odds are we're in a simulation.
Sometimes I don't ever use this word, but it baffles me.
Yeah.
So even like, how do people even come up with these ideas or theories? It's
I don't know, man. I think someone's sitting there, they just, I don't know, they're just zoning out and then they come up with it. And then,
yeah,
I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, there are definitely some really good arguments against it, which I don't know them well enough.
Do you know what the doppelganger is?
Doppelganger?
Yeah, am I saying that right? Let me Google that really quick.
Well, I know a doppelganger is your lookalike.
Yeah. Is that something like simulation kind of thing or no?
I mean, you might be able to apply a doppelganger to it, right? Like our doppelganger civilization would be a simulation of ourselves. Or we might be the doppelganger of the beings that created us inside of a simulation. It's just, I mean, it's interesting because our computers, which we did create in our own universe, full of ones and zeros, which if you look at spins of atoms, or not atoms, of subatomic particles, it's basically a 1 or a 0. You know, you could make a really good argument that our entire universe is made up of nothing but 1s and 0s. So there's a lot. I don't know. There's a lot more to it. There's a lot more to it.
I feel like we're just going down a big rabbit hole right now.
Well, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. If you found out today that you were living inside of a simulation, would you change your life? Would you do anything different?
I think I would try to, but then I would in the back of my head be like, well, that's what the simulation wants. And so then I'd try to do something else.
Well, what would you do? I mean, you would still need money to live, right? So you still need to have a job. So
unfortunately, yes.
So I think that a lot of people at first might like freak out, but at the end, I don't really think any of us would change. I think we would all keep doing the same thing that we're doing because, well, for one, if we're in a program, we're programmed to do it. So we're going to do it anyways. Yeah. And if we're not, then it doesn't matter because we're not in the program. So.
So I wonder if people think of like, if they're religious, if they actually believe in the simulation theory, like, do they believe in, God or a higher being?
I don't know. I mean, that would kind of answer the whole higher being thing, right? The creators.
Yeah.
The ones that created everything. Because I mean, that's basically what God did. Right. So you could look at it in that way. Now, I think that they would be upset looking at it in that light, though I think that's very similar. It's hard for me to actually tell the difference between the two, but I'm sure there's theological people that would tell you all the differences. I don't know the differences.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's crazy. Huh.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think we're in a simulation. I just can't. And that's probably because my brain's too small to even think that deep. But I just don't think we're in a simulation.
I don't think we are either. But again, I mean, if I found out tomorrow, I wouldn't change anything. It is what it is. I'm just going to keep doing what I want to do because I still get enjoyment out of the things that I do.
Right.
And that's really what's important. Right.
So, real quick, right back to space as a a black hole.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the questions I wanted to know was A, what the hell is a black hole? B, if we go inside of it, do we ever come back out? And then I think that's it for right now.
Okay, so first one, what is a black hole? A black hole is I'm going to say this and there's some exceptions. It used to be a supermassive star that went supernova, and after it went supernova, there was so much mass. Say what?
Like me.
Yeah.
Supernova.
Yeah. So you have a star, right? And it's extremely massive, much more massive than our star. Our star won't do this. When it explodes and it expels all of its shells of hydrogen and all the other shells that it's created throughout its life, what's left over is something that is no longer producing energy. And so it has to sustain its own gravity. If the gravity is too much and like it's too much even for a neutron star, then what happens is it implodes on itself into an infinitely small point. That is a black hole. And the size of a black hole is just where the event horizon is, the point of no return, where if you get to that point, you're never coming back out. Like, that's it. And the reason why it's called a black hole is because the gravitational pull is so great that not even light is capable of escaping it.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's not even, because every massive object has an escape velocity, right? So like a rocket on Earth, in order to get out of Earth's gravitational pull, you have to hit a certain velocity. That's the escape velocity. And the more massive it is, the higher the escape velocity. A black hole is so massive, the escape velocity is higher than the speed of light.
Wow.
Yep. So, and that's why the laws of physics start to break down in a black hole.
Have we ever, as humans, visualized anything going inside of a black hole? And like,
well, there's a lot of theories about it. So there's a lot of theories about it. So first of all, let's say you're the person that's falling into a black hole.
Great.
Right. What's going to happen is, let's just say your feet are going in first. What's going to happen is the closest particle to the black hole is first going to get pulled from your body. Right. And it's going to be faster than the rest of your body. And then the next particle and the next and the next and the next. And what's going to happen is you're going to string out. You're going to basically become a super massive, like just a huge string, because it's each particle that's closer is now being pulled away from the other particles. So you can imagine it's called spaghettification. But yeah, you get pulled like string cheese.
I was thinking about Play-Doh.
Play-Doh, Play-Doh's a good one. Yeah, no, that's a good visual. Yeah. So yeah, exactly like that. But what's interesting is that if you're an observer watching someone fall into a black hole, something different happens, right? Mm-hmm. What happens is they get closer to the black hole, right? And they get right up to it. And then as time goes on and they keep like going closer to it, they start to slow down. And you'll never actually fully see them hit the center. Because I don't know it well enough to explain it. So I do apologize. I can't fully explain it.
You explain it pretty well right now.
But it's a crazy effect. It really is a crazy effect.
Are there videos of it online?
No. For examples, not real videos, but examples of what it would look like. Yeah, you can find stuff like that online.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, we finally photographed the first black hole as well.
Really? Recently?
Yep. It was within the last year. Really? Or maybe actually now with the whole coronavirus thing, I have no idea when it was. The last 10 months is just like, I don't know, like a week or something.
Yeah, it looks like I just quick Google. Mm-hmm. The Monster Black Hole Galaxy Cluster Able 85 was found in December 2019.
Yeah. Okay, so about a year ago then.
It's 40 billion times the sun's mass and roughly 2/3 the mass of all stars in the Milky Way. Yeah,
so now that brings me to the thing that I said, the exception, right? In the center of our galaxy, as well as that one, which is the one that you're looking at there, there is a supermassive black hole. And what this is basically a whole bunch of stars that all collided together in the center of our galaxy. And it just starts accumulating. It starts pulling in more stars and more stars and more stars, and it just grows in size. And they can get extremely massive, like the one that you were just talking about.
Wow.
Yeah. Like there are some that are bigger than the orbit of Pluto in our solar system.
Is Pluto a planet?
No.
Growing up, I was always told Pluto was a planet.
Mm-hmm. That's because it used to be classified as a planet. The thing that happened was the classification of what a planet was changed. And that classification then excluded Pluto from it. It didn't really change, but they were taking a closer look at Pluto and they're like, well, that's kind of like right on that line that's making it not really a planet. Yeah. It's more of like a dwarf, because it is really small. And in fact, its moon Charon is almost the exact same size as Pluto, and they orbit each other. So it's not like this, right?
Yeah.
It's like this. So I don't know. There's a lot of arguments to be made for it, but
gotcha.
Yeah.
So in addition to space, obviously aliens are in the picture because everybody's afraid of aliens. And do you have any interest in aliens? Is that something that you're like?
I do. So actually, something that I wanted to do when I was first getting my astrophysics degree was I wanted astrobiology, which is basically. So astrobiology specifically is more of an astrophysics theoretical concept in relation to basically alien life on other planets and what it might be and the things that go into making that. The problem was that I didn't like biology.
Gotcha.
So I decided not to do that. Yeah, there's too many specifics about like cellular structures and all that kind of stuff that I don't know. That stuff doesn't interest me. Yeah. So I didn't go that route.
Isn't that one of the things with Mars right now is they found either I'm just going to roughly say this. Either they found water on Mars and then they're trying to figure out if they can dig underneath to see if there's any organisms, or that's the plan to what they want to do in Mars.
Yeah, so they found water, and they know that it's under the surface, the water. So they want to dig on Mars into where they believe the water is and see if there's organisms in the water.
And so when they say water, do they mean just like droplets of water, or do they mean like an ocean full of water? Do they mean like
I believe they think there's underwater
liquid?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Liquid. Yeah.
Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's they're hoping to find that, maybe not. Now they did find evidence of water on I believe it was our moon. But it's not liquid water like you think. It's just the molecules that make up water. You know what I mean? So
what if Mars was like the Earth, right? But you take it and you just fold it in and it's the reverse.
What do you mean?
So like
on the inside, like it's like a shell, and the inside going outwards is like the surface.
Right.
Is that what you're talking about? Yeah.
Yeah. It's like everything is total opposite.
Yeah. I mean, there's planets out there that could be like that. They think that actually underneath our planet, like in the crust and in the mantle and stuff, there might be like pockets down there that have water that could have entire ecosystems with life on our own planet that we know nothing about.
Yeah. It's like a big ant farm.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy. See, there's so much shit you can learn about. Like,
oh yeah,
that's part of the reason why I want to have you on, because you know so much shit about all this. It's amazing.
I know enough to get me by, but there's still a lot of things that I don't know.
Well, you know enough to impress me. So, all right, so back to aliens. Have you seen the Tic Tac video? I mean, it's it's about 10 years old or so now. It's basically where these the U.S. Navy, these fighter pilots off the coast of California, like near right, was it west of San Diego in the ocean? Mm-hmm. These fighter pilots, I guess they do these trainings and stuff, and apparently there's this Tic Tac. It's this object that looks like a Tic Tac on the GPS.
I think I've heard of what you're talking about.
And essentially, it was hovering over the ocean. It was going up, left, right, all these directions, but it was giving out any sort of any emissions or any sort of what was the word you used earlier? What the rockets use, the force that they go. Fuck, what's the goddamn word? Let me Google it. God damn it. It's in addition to missions. Tic-tac-toe video. Basically propulsion. It had no propulsion system.
Okay.
No propulsion on it. And the reason why I say that is because on the infrared GPS and the fighter pilots, exactly the emissions. So basically, it was just going left, right, up, whatever, and then all of a sudden it just vanished. It like went up and it went high, and then that's it. But I guess apparently there's been X amount of videos out there of this thing that either the government has and they haven't released, but somehow this video got released. Have you heard of this?
I think I know what you're talking about. I don't think I've seen this video or anything like that. But I mean, it's one of those things. So the argument is we have this thing and we don't know what it is, right?
Yeah.
Therefore, it's aliens. But we just said we don't know what it is. So how do we know that it's aliens? You see what I mean? You see what I'm trying to?
Yeah.
What people like to do is they see something that they don't understand, and our brains do this automatically. This isn't anyone's fault. This is how we evolved. Our brains immediately create a reason for why it's there. And, you've grown up, I've grown up, we've all grown up with stories about aliens. So now whenever someone sees something strange that they can't explain, immediately their mind is going to grasp for a reason why it's there, and alien is just what it grabs onto.
Right.
And, but we have to be aware that we're doing that, right? Like there's no evidence to support that it's aliens or anything. We might not know what it is, but just because we don't know what it is doesn't mean that it's aliens. There could be a ton of explanations that we just haven't even thought of. It could have been a malfunction of equipment. It could have been some type of interference. There's a lot of things that it could be possibly. Yeah. But
have you ever noticed anything extraterrestrial?
I have not.
No.
I have not. No. I've dreamed of it.
Do you believe in extraterrestrial? Or aliens? See, when I say aliens, I don't even mean like Marvin the Martian alien.
Right.
A lot of people think of Marvin the Martian or Mars Attacks.
Oh yeah.
Or like those classic
little green men. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I think of that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So that's actually a good point that you brought up there, because you have two sides when they say aliens, right? Or extraterrestrial life. You have the common person that's talking about the little green man, or you have the scientist that is talking about bacterial life.
Right.
So when you hear like reports of us looking for life on other planets and things, we're talking about bacterial life. We're talking about single-celled organisms. If we found an intelligent species, amazing. But that's not specifically, and don't get me wrong, we got SETI, we're listening, we're looking, we're trying to do these things, but even just finding bacterial life or anything like that, bacterial, single-celled organisms, whatever it is, finding that out there will be such a huge deal. Because think about it. all life on planet Earth shares one thing in common: DNA. We all have DNA. Life somewhere else might not have DNA. What would that look like? We have no idea. And just seeing something like that, seeing what happens somewhere else in the universe would be an amazing thing to discover. Just an absolutely amazing thing to discover. Yeah, because everything, even a plant, like if you look outside, you look at a tree, that has DNA in its cells. That actually has more DNA in its cells than we do. It's more complicated. Plants? Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I thought we were pretty complicated.
Supposedly the DNA of like plants and trees and stuff, they have like 40% more DNA packed in than we do. I have no idea, but they do weird stuff. Plants, they like cross.
Don't they talk to each other and shit?
Through DNA almost, pretty much. Yeah, they almost absorb each other's DNA at times.
Like trees can talk to each other, and it's almost like the Pocahontas.
Yeah, not the way that we would talk, but it's in a way, right? A passing of information from one to another. If that's what you mean by communication, then yes.
Yeah,
they can do things like that. Yeah, with DNA.
That's cool. Mm-hmm. There's so much out there. There's this unknown. Mm-hmm. This is kind of off subject, but as I have this Earth background behind me, I always wonder why we put so much money or time, and I'm sure we are putting more time. Let me finish my point. We put so much money and time into going to space. Why not go to the bottom of the ocean? I mean, there's a lot of pressure. I understand that.
And that's the problem. It is actually easier to get to space than it is to get to the bottom of our ocean.
Because there's some creatures down there that look like aliens.
Oh yeah. There are some terrifying. Hey, listen, if I was in like a little submarine or something, and I went down there and I saw one of those like massive glowing little like the glowing see-through things that are like half jellyfish, half.
What they have like a horn with the.
Oh yeah, the little light on it to like pull a little fish in. I would just panic. I would absolutely panic. I would want out of there. I don't want any part of it. Yeah, no, that's terrifying. But so the difference is that going up like into space is the difference of one atmosphere, right? We have one atmosphere here on the surface. Space is 0 atmospheres because there's no pressure in space. Going to the bottom of ocean, we're talking about hundreds of atmospheres of pressure. So it is a huge, huge difference. Very, very difficult to do. Very difficult.
Do we as humans put a lot of pollution in space every time we go out there? Like, do we
every time we go out there? Yeah, we lose tools. There's things that are floating around our planet that will be there forever. Satellites that break down that are no longer in use. They're up there still. Actually, NASA has a live tracking thing that you can look at because they track it.
Oh, really?
All the space junk. Yep.
Jesus.
Yeah, so that's really cool. You can kind of see where it all is. It's crazy. Imagine
being that guy.
Oh,
sir, I lost the satellite. My bad.
Yeah, no, there's junk satellites up there everywhere. It's going to turn into a problem one day. Yeah. They've done some estimates with how much more we're going into space and putting satellites, for people to get their internet on their phone and things like that. We are possible to get to a point in the next 100 or 200 years where we're not going to be able to get off our planet anymore because we're just going to run into things.
Damn.
It'll be too dangerous if we don't do something about it. Now I know you say what?
I said, not only did we destroy our society and Earth, we're about to destroy the fucking universe.
Well, that's just around our planet, right? Like we haven't done much. I mean, Elon has that car out there right now that's going around our star and everything. But it's really hard to get outside of our solar system, which we actually have. So Voyager 1 and 2. Those are traveling fast enough to get outside of our solar systems. Because like I said, everything with mass has an escape velocity. So to get away from our sun, to get out of our solar system, you have to be going a certain speed. And the Voyager 1 and 2 are going at that speed, and they are actually leaving our universe right now.
Wow.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Yep.
And speaking of sun, so like we have all these like do you ever like worry, or do they ever worry about like solar flares ever like getting into like making a situation for us where it's like a big EMP for us?
At any moment in time, we could lose all electronics on our planet for years.
Damn.
At any moment in time. And it almost happened in 2012, I think, because we have some satellites at our Lagrangian points around our planet. I'm not going to go into Lagrangian points, just know there's a couple points around our planet where we can have things basically sit. And that satellite got fried by a huge, huge dose of solar radiation, big enough to where if it would have hit our planet, which it was just trailing behind our planet by a little bit, not too much in terms of space, it would have probably fried all of the electronics on our planet.
Holy shit!
Yeah. So that can definitely happen from a solar flare.
Can the sun ever go out?
It will go out. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's going to die. Oh yeah, in about 5 billion years, but it'll die.
Damn.
Yep. And actually, yeah, like it's 5 billion years until our sun is gone. So people think that that's like the maximum time we can be here. But every year, our sun very slowly is increasing in luminosity. That increase in luminosity will eventually make it uninhabitable here on Earth. And I believe the time for that, it's every billion years, it's about a 10% increase. And the next 10%, life will not be possible here on Earth.
Is that because
or at least life as we know it?
Is that because the atmosphere is like deteriorating and it's just going to be too hot here and the radiation shit?
Well, it's not really because of that. It's because of what our sun is doing. The increase in the luminosity.
Right, so I guess what my better question is, what is luminosity?
So luminosity is basically how bright it is, which is a function of it could be a function of its size, its temperature,
gotcha.
All that kind of stuff. Mass can play a role. Our mass is different. It's not changing, I mean, so.
Right.
But yeah, temperature and all that stuff is changing over time. So eventually, in about a billion years or so, it will slowly become more and more inhabitable. We will turn into Venus. Our planet's going to turn into Venus.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Which means actually Mars might be more habitable than Earth at that point.
So maybe we'll be the people. Well, maybe we'll be the aliens attacking.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. What's your planet?
Yeah, in the simulation, whatever you want to call it, theory, some sort of theory. The reverse opposite theory. That's it. So like I'm kind of just jumping around, so I apologize. But like for astronauts or people that go into space, what does it do to people's like internal organs? Maybe you don't know this, but like what like how do I know they train for it, but like what happens to our blood when we're up there?
So there's a lot of things that can happen to you, and a lot of it we don't understand why. One of the things that can happen to you is you can go blind. Yep, and they're not sure why. Now it's interesting because once you get back to Earth, you get your eyesight back. It takes a little bit of time, but you'll get it back. And this doesn't happen to everyone. And they think it has something to do with what's going on behind your eyes, that some people, maybe it's a little bit weaker, the connection. And so the lack of gravity allows a slight disconnection over time. And then once gravity is put back on, it connects back and you're good and you can see. Or maybe something like that. Again, they don't really know what's causing it. Another thing, of course, is muscle atrophy. Because you're not using your muscles. Like even when you're sitting down, you're using muscles to sit upright. When you walk around, you're using muscles. Everything you do, when you're sleeping, you're using your muscles. Very small amount, but you're still using them. In space, you don't use nearly as many muscles when you're sitting there or not. Like even when you're like moving around because you're just free floating. And so that's a huge problem, muscle degradation. Another problem is when you're in space, you don't have the atmosphere protecting you from solar radiation. And you're constantly getting bombarded by solar radiation. And over time, if you spend too much time in space, it will affect your brain.
Gotcha. So it's like being in just getting a CAT scan without the light.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. That's exactly what it is. It does the same thing. Just really high doses when you're in space. And that's part of the problem in going to Mars is radiation. That's one of the biggest problems. They're afraid that if they're not able to protect it by the time that astronauts, our smartest people get to Mars, they're going to be dumb. They're going to be stupid because their brains are not going to work properly because of the radiation. It will start to degrade over time. So that's probably a bad way to say that, but
no, I mean it makes sense. It makes sense to me. There always has to be some sort of fear factor, not fear factor, but just cause and effect of going up there.
Oh yeah. Even with all those dangers, I'd go in a heartbeat.
That's crazy.
I even told my wife too. I was like, listen, if I ever get the opportunity to go, I'm going.
Look, if they can get it down to 3 hours, then I'll go.
Oh yeah, well, that ain't gonna happen. But that's almost light speed right there.
Other than that, just send me a picture. I'll stay my ass right here.
That's like I think that's like 20% the speed of light. So Jesus. I'll tell you this actually. Do you know about relativity? You know what relativity is? I'm going to say no, just for the heck of it. Not even for the heck of it. No, I don't.
Okay, so relativity. Something interesting as you get closer to something interesting happens as you get closer to the speed of light. The faster you move in our universe, the closer to the speed of light you get, the slower you age for yourself. So, for instance, let me give you an example. So, let's say we're trying to go to the nearest star, right, which is about 4.5 light years away, maybe 4.1 light years away. But let's say you're traveling at 99% the speed of light. Now, that's going to take you about 4 years to get there to an observer here on Earth. But to the person that's actually traveling on the ship, not nearly as much time will pass by for them. So someone on the outside observing the person, they'll see 4 years go by. Someone on the ship that's traveling at that speed might only go through a year or something.
Wow.
So time passes differently for people that are traveling faster. So
that's crazy.
Yep. And they've calculated this. People that have gone in orbit, there's like astronauts that have gone into orbit. You can look to see how much time difference that they've experienced than you sitting here on Earth because of their speed. Very small because they're moving very slow compared to the speed of light. But yeah.
Right. Wow, that's crazy.
We're talking fractions of a second.
So does that, like, physically you can see that on a person? Do you think?
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Like the, like if it's, so you're saying if you were to orbit in space, a year goes by, your physical effects, your body will only feel a year of effects, when in reality it could be 4 years. And on Earth, it's 4 years.
Yep.
So let's even break it down a little bit more. So like, it would take you longer to grow a beard in space than it is going to be on Earth.
To an observer on Earth, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's say you were going on a vacation, the most amazing vacation. You're booking a ticket. You're going to go to some other star system, traveling at 99% the speed of light. It takes you a year. You yourself on the spaceship a year to get there. When you get there and you call back home, your family is gone. They've passed away.
Damn.
Their children, your brothers and sisters and their children have probably passed away. Because so much time has gone by back on Earth in relation to you actually traveling at that speed, at that distance, that everything's gone and you can't get it back.
So what do they use when they go into orbit? Do they use their time on Earth, or do they calculate?
The difference in time is so small, like fractions of a second.
Okay.
So there's really no need to do it. You can, and they track it, but it's not. It's nothing that's going to make a difference because the orbit around Earth, I mean, we're traveling so slow in comparison to the speed of light. The speed of, like I said, is 7.4 times in 1 second around our planet. That is fast.
That's fast as hell.
That is fast.
I need that internet speed. Give me that. Damn,
yeah, so it's
crazy.
quick. Yeah, it's quick. It's not playing around.
How long do they usually go up into orbit? How long do they, like, is there a minimum or a maximum?
So there was a guy that just recently broke the limit. And he had a twin brother. This is an experiment that they decided to perform. He had a twin brother that stayed on Earth. So he went up into space for over a year. He broke the record, so the longest time spent in space. And his brother stayed here on Earth. And now that he's back, they're going to compare about what's going to happen over the next, 20, 30 years to see what damages may have been caused by spending that much time in space. So and actually, his twin brother just got the governor job in or the Senate. I'm sorry, the Senate job in Arizona.
Wow!
So he just got elected.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. Yep.
Not that he got elected. I don't know who the hell he is, but
no, I know. Just kind of the guy. Yeah, he's also an astronaut.
What brother would you want to be in that situation?
The one that was in space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be the Senate. Oh shit, that's crazy. That's cool. That's gonna be interesting to see.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be interesting. So a year, man, that's crazy. Don't they have like little astronaut food like they eat and like they like?
Yeah, so they have it in a bag. What it is they have food that's in a bag basically. And there's actually, do you have your VR set yet?
No, I'm gonna get one in like a couple weeks.
One of the first things that you need to do is it's free. You can take a virtual tour of the ISS. the International Space Station. And there's different things, and like basically you feel like you're there. And there's videos you can watch of the astronauts because they made videos for this, and they explain different things about the things that they do, including eating the food and all that kind of stuff. It's really cool. I definitely suggest anyone to go and watch that if they have a VR. You can. I'm assuming you can do it like on your computer as well, but it's much better in VR.
Yeah. So damn, that's crazy. I don't know. I mean, to sit there. Like, didn't they just come up with? Didn't a random guy just make up a new toilet for them for NASA? Like, I thought NASA put out a competition for not a competition, but they were seeking help, and some random guy made this toilet, and now he's getting out X amount of money.
I think so. I don't know. I feel like I've heard that as well. I don't remember if it was a toilet or not, but I'm pretty sure that I heard something about that, but I haven't looked into it, so I don't know much about it.
Wow, that's crazy, man. There's so much shit. I mean, what like for like right now, do you keep up on it like as far as like every day, like not every day, but like news articles that come out, like the newest thing?
So there's a couple things. First, I get Astronomy Magazine. But magazines are almost like dead now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So I don't really get too much information from that. I do watch this one YouTube channel. I really like this guy. Maybe not the most interesting guy to watch, but he always has the most up-to-date information. And he cites research papers and stuff inside of his videos, and he gives you links to those research papers if you actually want to explore it more. And I really like listening to that guy. His name is Anton Petrov.
I feel like I heard of him before.
Maybe. But he's always got the most recent things on his channel. He's always talking about like recent breakthroughs and theoretical ideas, space, all that kind of stuff. And he's really good at what he does. He's really good.
And this doesn't have to be space specifically, but what's like the newest like topic or theory that's out there that you've recently gotten into or had
the one that I've recently gotten into was what's it called? It's triple C. It's something cyclic cosmology. What's the first word? Conformal cyclic cosmology. That's it. Conformal cyclic cosmology.
Okay.
And now they're pretty sure that isn't how it is. It's a theoretical idea that had a lot of steam, but they kind of think that they've disproven it. But it's still an extremely interesting concept, and it's really cool. It's basically that like since distance is all relative, right, and distance is almost meaningless, right? It's whatever we make it to be because we exist here. We see the distance to the tip of our finger, and so that's a certain distance. But what happens is that they think that our universe is here. It came from the Big Bang, and it blows up. It gets really big. And then it hits a certain stage where it starts re-expanding at a super fast rate. But that re-expansion in the next universe is an infinitely small point. So it starts over and it keeps cycling through all these, each time getting essentially bigger than the previous one. But since space is like relative, it doesn't really matter, because size can be anything in an infinitely empty non-universe. You know what I mean? So, yeah,
that's crazy. Mind blowing.
Yeah,
I'm sure I can Google really that after I figure out the spelling. I'm sure I can Google that and go down the deep dark hole.
No, so another interesting one. It has to do with black holes.
Okay.
There's an idea, and this works in math actually. So a lot of things that get proven in physics, they know to try to prove it because something shows up in a math equation that should exist. But they haven't found it, and so they go and look for it, and then they find it. One of the things that exists in math equations is the opposite side of a black hole, which they've called a white hole. And what a white hole is basically the inverse. It's the other side of a black hole, or they think it's the other side of a black hole. But we've never seen one, but the math exists. So the thought on that is that on the other side of a black hole, the white hole, when a black hole gets created, on the opposite end, when it creates that white hole, it's a Big Bang. So they think our universe was created on the other side of a black hole. And each of the black holes in our universe has a whole nother universe inside of them that they create when that black hole is created in our universe.
That actually makes sense.
Yeah. So that's one idea that's out there. and there are people that are really, really behind this idea, no one's been able to disprove it.
Have you ever seen Stranger Things?
I've never watched all the seasons. I've watched in the first season, but
this is how dumb I am. This is why I'm putting this together. Because in Stranger Things, they talk about the parallel universe, and it's like a flat line, and like on one side, it's like the normal human like life form, the everyday life, and then on the bottom, it's like the total opposite, basically. And it kind of reminded me of that.
Yeah,
I'm such an idiot.
No, I mean it's interesting because the math behind it and the math that we know of drives basically everything. And there are just some weird things that are happening in math that we have to explain somehow. They shouldn't exist in math if they can't exist. And if something can't exist, it probably does somewhere. Yeah. And multiverses is one of those things that should exist. They don't know if it does, but it can exist very easily. And in quantum mechanics, well, I don't know if we want to go down this rabbit hole, but in quantum mechanics, there's like this, it's for every instant, whenever. Have you ever heard of Schrodinger's cat?
Yes, I have. I've heard of it. Definitely heard of it. I've listened to podcasts about this goddamn thing.
So
go ahead.
Schrodinger, he basically had an equation, and he was working on some stuff, quantum mechanics, and he didn't like his result. He hated what it was telling him so much that he made a joke out of it. Schrodinger's cat, that's the joke. And the joke is that you have a cat in a box, and you haven't looked in the box. You know the cat's in there. And the question is the cat alive or dead? And the problem is that before you open the box, it's both. Simultaneously at the same time. The instant that you open that and observe it, the universe picks something and it goes with it. But there is a separation. The universe splits. And on one side, the cat's alive. The other side, the cat is dead. And in quantum mechanics, this can happen for every single instant, for every single particle, whether it be, like we talk about the ones and zeros, so we're going back to the ones and zeros, whether it's a 1 or a 0, basically an up spin or a down spin. And before it's observed, it's both. But as soon as you observe it, it's one or the other. But that's when it splits. Because now you have two universes, or multiverse, and one's a 1, one's a 0. And this happens everywhere simultaneously all at once. And it's not, I mean, we can use words for it, but we're not fully understanding. Our brains are not meant to understand something like this.
Yeah.
It's rough.
Dude, you know a lot of shit, bro. You know a lot of shit. And
we're not even scratching.
Yeah.
We're not even scratching the surface. Like this, like you could keep going. Like it's there's so much out there. There is so many amazing things out there. There really is.
Well, there's one other thing I wanted to touch on before we get out of here, and I appreciate you doing this again. But before I do that, before my Thanksgiving topic, was there anything that you have that you wanted to explain to the audience that you thought maybe would blow my mind, or anything that you thought of?
I mean, man, it's so hard. I mean, as soon as I get into a topic, I could go on for it for hours.
Go for it. I mean, I don't have.
I mean, so I guess. Hold on.
I don't mean to put you on the spot.
No. You're good. You're good. There's just so many ways to go. Like I always tell people, ask me any question about space, and I'm probably going to be able to answer it. At least maybe not 100% accuracy, but I'll have at least some idea about it. And I challenge people that because I like to learn more. And so if someone can actually ask me a question that I don't know, then I can have a chance to go and learn something new.
Yeah.
But the other reason why I ask people that is because there's so much to talk about. It's really hard to just go give me something interesting. Well, man, it's so hard. Like, give me some type of focus, and I'll pick something out of that focus and tell you something that's amazing.
While you're thinking, I'm just going to say this right now. You're going to come on back on the podcast, and we'll definitely pick up on intricacies of these.
Well, yeah, we can. I mean, we can take all these topics and go into all of them, and we can really iron out some amazing. There's just so much. I mean, there's an infinite number of things you can talk about.
Right.
And not just space. I mean, there's other things too. Like we didn't really get to touch into AI today. We can go into that. I know a bit about that.
All right.
Not too much, but I know a bit about it.
Let me ask you, they actually had
couple years ago, maybe 2 years ago now, they actually had a couple computers. Apparently, they had supercomputers that were speaking to each other,
I know what you're talking about.
Sort of communicating each other.
Google.
What do you think about that? What do you? Are you scared of that? Do you like the AI?
I think that it is kind of a terrifying thing to think about, and people should be terrified of it. But it's going to happen. We are going to pass the point of singularity. You know what the singularity is?
No.
The singularity is the point at which a computer is now smarter than a human. It's going to happen. And right now, we're not close to it yet. But with the rate that we're growing, it's probably going to happen in the next 30 years. And when that happens, everything will change. And what worries me is that if we do not change with it, we will not survive. I don't think we'll survive. I think, okay, so this is going to sound crazy. I think our next step in evolution is basically to become more mechanical. Because like
we already have.
Go to a star. Yeah, we already have, but I mean more so, because we can't go to another star. We'll never, with our biological bodies, we won't be able to do it. We just won't. You know, maybe if we figure out freezing people, but we haven't figured that out yet.
Like for instance, like you know, autonomous and stuff like that. You know, Elon's coming out with what's this thing where he's coming
Neuralink?
out? Neuralink, yes. That is so crazy.
I know. Yeah.
Neuralink, that's fascinating.
Listen, this is what I want to see in my lifetime. I want the ability to download my consciousness onto a computer. Because think about this. If you can do this, if you can figure out how to download someone's consciousness onto the computer and they live in that type of world, or download them into a robot or something like that, people can essentially live forever. Right. Because your consciousness doesn't have to die. Your consciousness is nothing but just a series of electrical impulses that are happening in your brain, you know, all the time. That's all it is. And they're working on figuring out how to replicate that exact thing inside of a computer.
And so you're excited about that, or because for me, I'm kind of hesitant towards it. Like I believe the technology and all that is fascinating. It's crazy to even, you know, say that it's on its way, but it still scares the shit out of me. Because
I'm excited, but I'm also scared of it too, because the thing is that, you know, people, there are good people and there are bad people.
Right, exactly.
And when this technology exists, bad people are going to have it too. And they're going to do bad things with it, you know? Right. And what we've done as a species is we've evolved in a way to always basically have the good and the bad, and none of them fully edge out the other. And I do think that, as scary as that is, the same phenomenon will continue to happen. I think that the good and the evil will continue. Basically, it sounds, you know, good versus evil sounds really stupid, but that's essentially what's going on, right? You have the people that think one way and another people that think another way. You know, by the way, good and evil is just all in our brains. What we consider to be good versus evil. Yeah, it's you know, an alien species might consider something good that we do as evil and something evil that we do as good. You know, it's just, you know, it's whatever people want to believe it is. But you know, we're always basically at war with ourselves. Yeah. And I think that's going to continue. And I think that bad people will do bad things with it, but good people are also going to learn how to fight it at the same time. Yeah. So I think it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It will absolutely happen. So,
all right. So for the last question, before we get to the last subject, would be for the Neuralink, just like how you wanted to be the first one to travel to space, would you get that chip implemented?
I wouldn't be the first one to get it, no.
Because I think he said within the next couple of years, within the next 5 years, he's going to have people with those chips inside their brain. So.
Yep. So I would not want to be the first, but I could see myself doing that in the future.
Man, I don't know. That just sounds too iffy for me.
In the future. I'm down for it, man. I mean, I honestly, maybe not for us, but if our species is going to survive, you know, the test of time and really make a play at living for a very, very extended period of time, we're going to have to do things like that.
Yeah.
Because our biological bodies are not. We're not meant to leave our planet. You know, like, we evolved here for a reason. This is where we're supposed to live, and that's it. And if we want to really go out there and explore and do more, then we have to evolve to allow ourselves to do that. And mechanical seems to be the best way to do it. So,
gotcha.
yeah.
Well, like I said, I don't want to hold you up too late. I know it's 10 o'clock over there right now, but real quick. So what I want to do is the next several podcasts, I'm going to have people on, and because we are going into Thanksgiving, and I do love sports, and I do love brackets, and I know you love sports, and I know you love brackets.
I love the numbers.
What I would like to do is make a 20 team/food bracket for Thanksgiving. So the next couple podcasts, I'm going to narrow it down to the championship.
Okay.
So me and you, we're going to generate 20 food items.
Oh, okay.
It could be food or drinks.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is like if you say vodka, you're just going to put alcohol.
Right. Gotcha. Yeah.
Or spirits, whatever you want to call it. So me and you are going to come up with 20, the first 20.
Okay.
And then that's it.
Okay.
So I think we can both agree on is ham and turkey. Both are going to be on there.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
What is another one that you think?
Garlic mashed potatoes, or just mashed potatoes.
Ooh, I was going to say, I think I'm going to just put mashed potatoes.
Yeah, that's fine.
No, I'll put garlic mashed potatoes.
Man, I love garlic mashed potatoes. Man, they're so good.
I'm going to say sweet potatoes with marshmallows on top.
Okay. What's that stuff? People like it. It's not a jelly. Cranberry
sauce or cranberry.
Yeah,
the stuff that you can.
People eat it. Yeah, people eat it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm just gonna put.
It's like cranberry paste almost. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just put cranberries.
Let's see. I'm gonna put green bean casserole.
Okay.
Are you a fan of that?
I do if it's made in certain ways. There's some ways that it can be made that I don't like, but generally I like it.
I think that's with everything.
Yeah, that's true. Let's see. I'll say I don't like this item, but I know it's usually a turkey.
Say only thing that you're gonna.
Only things that I like.
Yeah. Say only things you like. Oh God, okay. I do like stuff. I do. See again.
Well, you'll say that. Can I say gravy?
Oh, there you go. That's a great choice.
Okay,
great choice. I'm gonna go off a limb right here, and I haven't had this actually in my entire life for Thanksgiving, but I want to because I know it's great. It's crab legs.
Okay. Okay. Let's see. Biscuits.
Oh man, dude, I'm getting hungry. And of course, alcohol. You can't be around that much family and not have alcohol.
Well, the big soda.
Okay,
you
mean pop? We say pop here.
Yeah. Okay, pop.
We don't say soda.
Yeah.
Let's see. Cornbread? No.
I was gonna say that later too. I was gonna say it later, unless you want to put it in with the biscuits.
Yeah, we can put it in with the biscuits, I guess.
Okay.
All right. So let me think of something. Corn, just regular corn, whether it's corn on the cob or whatever.
Okay. Oh man. Okay. Let's see.
We're at 12 right now. We're
at 12 more. Okay. You mean 8 more?
Yes.
12.
That's why you're the mathematical science.
I mean, it's only one off, right? So.
That's hilarious.
All right, so let's see. I got that, but now I can't think of any more food. Let's see.
Feel free to Google if you need to.
No. I want to think. Of it. Do I have to be generic and say like fruit, or can I say strawberries?
No, we put strawberries. That's fine.
Strawberries? All right, let's put strawberries. I love strawberries.
Because I'm going to be pretty specific for my next one.
Okay.
Pumpkin pie.
Okay. Not a fan of pumpkin pie. Everyone thinks I'm crazy for not being a fan of it.
You're crazy. Crazy.
Oh man. Okay, let's see what else. Crackers. Crackers. You've never had like saltines with like cheese and stuff?
Nope, but I'm gonna put it on there.
Okay.
Crackers. I mean, I've had saltines and crackers, but that's because I just had them, but not on Thanksgiving.
I was thinking like snack, but
then again, I've never had crab legs on Thanksgiving, so I guess I put that in there. Have you ever had a seafood Thanksgiving because you live in Florida?
No. Well, I've had seafood on Thanksgiving, so I guess I have, but never a focus around it. There's a couple times where I've gone out to restaurants and stuff and had like shrimp and things.
Gotcha. Here's another one. Turducken.
Okay.
Have you ever had turducken?
I have not.
No,
I know what it is. But...
I think my dad's supposed to make something like that this year, so we'll see.
Yeah. So I just mentioned a second ago, but shrimp.
Shrimp.
Oh, okay. I've had shrimp on Thanksgiving before. Not normally, but
I've had shrimp for appetizers.
Yeah.
I thought you said Trump.
No, I don't want to eat that thing, man. I value my life.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's hilarious. Let's see. What else do we have on Thanksgiving? As a Mexican, we some people eat tamales.
Okay. Is there any more?
We have two more.
Okay, wings.
Chicken wings?
Chicken wings.
Okay. I've never had chicken wings, but I'd do it.
I have.
Pineapple slices? No, that's what. No, that's the last one. I can't use pineapple slices. Let me think.
I think it's something good. No one said you haven't said stuffing yet.
Oh, we haven't, have we?
Mm-mm.
No, we got to put stuffing on there. Stuffing is fine. That'd be fine. All right, we got 20.
Okay.
Cool. I appreciate it. Well, again, dude, I appreciate you coming on.
Yep, no problem.
Again, we'll probably have this conversation more. Pick a couple more specific topics for next time. But again, appreciate it.
Yep.
I will talk to you later, probably later on tonight on the PC. But for everybody else, I appreciate everybody listening. I appreciate everybody watching. Until next time, talk to you later.
The Tony Tones World.